Till I Collapse by Eminem, one of the most famous songs of Marshall Mathers, as we better know, by Eminem, I guess, whatever you want to call it. It is the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show right here on Spreaker.com's own National Sports, and how fitting that we enter the show with a collapsing theme, per se. Because that's exactly what Long Beach State, now 5-5 on the season, did in the middle of nowhere in Texas this past Friday against a pretty good Stephen F. Austin team that moved to 5-3 overall on the season. Now, before I get into talking about the specifics of the 29-point loss on the road to Stephen F. Austin, We'll just recap the season real quickly. The first 10 games. A roller coaster ride for sure. The 5-point loss at BYU. The 10-point win against Division II San Francisco State. The 23-point loss at Xavier. The 9-point win at home against Kansas State. The game in which, after everyone thought the day was saved, then they go on the road and put up a disappointing performance at Pauley Pavilion. They lose to UCLA, a UCLA team that didn't even look that good at the Battle of Atlantis the next week. Long Beach lost that game 77-63. Then on Thanksgiving, they gave us a little bit of a scare against Western Michigan, a pretty good Western Michigan team that went to the NCAA tournament a year ago. Long Beach wound up pulling away in that one and taking the Western Michigan Broncos out of the winner's bracket in the Wooden Legacy. 73-55 was the final in that one. And the next night, you have an opportunity to knock off another Power 6 school. Long Beach State, unable to do that. They drop the semifinal game of the Wooden Legacy to the University of Washington, 80-70. Now, the loss doesn't look so bad now because Washington is undefeated, and since then they've made their way into the top 25. So, although Long Beach could have had that game, probably should have had that game, and it's disappointing that they didn't, there's no shame in losing to Washington, which is now ranked number 17 in the nation. Impressively enough, and I really thought, because it was a tough loss to Washington, a game in which Long Beach led by as many as 9, against the Huskies of UW. I didn't expect them to compete with Xavier in that third-place game on Sunday. I didn't. Xavier absolutely crushed Long Beach in Xavier a week and a half before. And obviously, if you're Xavier, you travel all the way out to Southern California. You play 3 games in 4 days, and obviously you're not the same team, but I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like every time I watch a game at the Honda Center, the offenses suck. It was the case in the first half against Xavier. Long Beach got off to a terrible start, but luckily so did Xavier. Xavier didn't drill their first 3 of the game until the latter minutes of the second half. And if you remember in the earlier matchup at Xavier in Cincinnati, in the 97-74 loss for Long Beach State, I believe 3 of Xavier's first 4 buckets were from three-point land. I'd call that win against Xavier, the 73-70 win, lucky, but I was encouraged after the win. I thought to myself, hey, these guys came out with energy that I wasn't expecting on a Sunday at 2 p.m. I was expecting Long Beach to come out lackadaisical, deflated. They did, but they got back up on their feet. Mike Caffey carried them to victory. That was a big win. Another win over a very quality opponent. One that thumped you by 23 weeks just 10 days or so before. So at that point, Long Beach State 4-4 on the year. Little pattern going. Win-loss, 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 win-loss. Then you come home. You don't play well against Nevada, but good teams find a way to win. Long Beach State 68, Nevada 57. So now I'm thinking, okay, we're 5-4 on the season. We didn't play all that well at home against a pretty bad Nevada team that was coming off of a 24-point loss at Nebraska-Omaha or something like that. But Long Beach State, despite the somewhat lackluster performance at home against the Wolfpack of the University of Nevada, a win. That's all that matters at the end of the day. A W for Long Beach State. 5-4 on the year. And obviously it's tough for a team to play so many games early on. We're less than 3.5 weeks into the season. Long Beach State's already played 10 games. A couple back-to-back. They've already had to travel to Provo, Utah, Cincinnati to play Xavier, and now they have to travel to the middle of nowhere in Texas. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce the city that Stephen F. Austin University is located in. I was pronouncing it Nacho Degas, but obviously that's not how it looks when you look at the spelling for Naco Doches. That's the best I'm going to give you. Anyways, Stephen F. Austin, taking a look at them, scouting them per se before the game. You look and you see that, this is a team that won an NCAA game a year ago, a team that came into the pyramid and ran Long Beach off their home floor 2 years ago, but obviously the team is nearly completely revamped. I'm talking about Long Beach State from that team that lost to Stephen F. Austin at home a couple of years ago, but impressively enough, a couple of nights before Long Beach rolls into Texas to take on Stephen F. Austin, they get an impressive road win at Memphis. So I'm looking at the schedule for Stephen F. Austin. They lost at Xavier 2 by a lot, 18 points. They lost by 16 at Baylor. They lost to a very good University of Northern Illinois team at home by 2 in overtime. It's going to be a tough game for Long Beach State. But the Memphis win, not as impressive as it would have been in years past. Let's not forget, this is a Memphis team that got hammered by Baylor and hammered by Wichita State, snuck by Indiana State, and lost to a Division II team in an exhibition game before the start of the regular season when talking about the University of Memphis. So, Memphis, big name, rich basketball history, Derrick Rose, national championship appearance not too far back. Big win for the Stephen F. Austin program. Absolutely. So you knew they were going to have some momentum, but much like Long Beach State's big win against Kansas State, I was thinking perhaps Stephen F. Austin would have a little bit of a let-up, realizing, hey, we beat this Long Beach team a couple of years ago. It's a Friday. Not too many people were in the arena. Long Beach State, they're kind of on a roll. They've won 3 out of their last 4 games. Their only loss, a 10-point loss to now-ranked University of Washington. I think Long Beach will be able to squeeze this game out. I watched the first half. I was embarrassed. Lucky, though, that Long Beach State was only down by 8 points. 29-21 was the score at the half. And so, at the half, very unimpressive beginning to the game for Long Beach State. Tyler Lamb draws 2 fouls in the first 90 seconds. He's sent to the bench for the majority of the first half. Long Beach had a lid on their basket. They really couldn't do anything from the field. But only down by 8. I can tell Long Beach State, clearly the more talented team. I guess that's just not how it always tends to work out. Because if you remember 2 years ago, when Long Beach State had former Pac-12 guard Keala King, former Big East forward Tony Freeland, along with Caffey and Jennings, and current NBA up-and-coming star potentially in James Ennis, that team from 2012-2013 team, Long Beach State. They were head and shoulders above everybody in the Big West talent-wise. But they couldn't even make it to the Big West Tournament Conference Championship game because they didn't play well as a team. Now, not to compare this team to that team, because this team has had some impressive wins. The K-State win, throw in the Western Michigan win, and the rebound, the revenge win per se, against Xavier. Heck, before this Stephen F. Austin game, I was thinking about a potential at-large. The chances were oh so slim. Now they're completely gone. But, hey, if we can beat Stephen F. Austin and win a game out of this brutal slate upcoming against SDSU, Texas, St. John's, Syracuse, and Louisville, win maybe one, maybe two, and then roll through the Big West, I'm thinking, hey, if we slip up in the conference championship game, they'll at least give us a play-in game, because it's not considered a bad loss if you lose to number 18 SDSU, number 8 Texas, number 24 St. John's, Syracuse on the road, or number 4 Louisville. If you lose to all of those teams, none of them would be considered a bad loss. Stephen F. Austin, it's not considered a bad loss, but when you lose by 29 points, it's a bad loss. Long Beach State. So basically, getting back to what I was talking about. In the first half, no three-pointers made. Tyler Lamb was very limited. Mike Caffey, it looked like he had a cut on his hand, so he was kind of not shooting the way he usually does. Hey, I'll let you know, I play pickup basketball. I had an injury with my finger the other day, and anything with your hand, anything with your right hand, especially if you're a right-hand shooter like Mike Caffey, if something's wrong with that, your shot will be altered, per se. And you could tell Mike Caffey struggled. He didn't attempt a three-pointer, which was beyond me, but he just went 3 for 7 from the field. Wasn't as aggressive as I would have liked him to be. So when you take all of that into account, in addition to the fact that Long Beach State struggled once again from the free throw line and did not make a single three-pointer, I mean, this is a team that perhaps at times this year has prided itself on the three-point shot. You got some good three-point shooters on this team. Mike Caffey, Tyler Lamb's a good three-point shooter. Michaela Sal's supposed to be the sniper. Jack Williams can hit threes. We've seen Hammonds do it. Deontay North has hit his fair share of three-pointers. Justin Bibbins has a few. Branford Jones is an excellent three-point shooter. So I figured we're down by 8 at the half. We're the more talented team. Stephen F. Austin, they'd made 4 three-pointers in the first half. I didn't think they were going to do that again. Turns out they did just that again. Turns out Long Beach State didn't make a three-pointer in the second half. And Long Beach State managed to score 45 points on the road to Stephen F. Austin and lose 74-45. After the game was over, I was just kind of in shock. You know, it kind of took me a minute or so to take in what had just occurred between Long Beach State and Stephen F. Austin. I can't remember a Long Beach State game in recent memory where I turned off the game before it was over. I mean, sure, you have those games where you're down by 15 to big-time opponents, especially last year, and there's 2 minutes left to go. I think I'll change the channel now. But a lot of the times when we've been blown out in the past, I'll watch the rest of the game to see how some of the guys that don't get much time to shine off the bench do. Guys like, Charles Lockett and Anson Moye, the walk-on.